All right, so today we're going to talk about something really powerful. This idea called digital asceticism. Now, hold on. It's not what you think. It's not about throwing your phone in a river. It's about taking back the steering wheel from the algorithms and notifications that are basically running our lives, right? So, let's dive in. And let's be real, the stakes, they couldn't be higher. This quote, wow, it just hits the nail on the head. Right now, so many of us are just living inside these, I guess you could call them manufactured ecosystems of passivity. And what does that mean? It means our attention is the product being sold. So if you're just living on autopilot in that world, well, you've essentially handed over the keys to your own life. Okay, and this is maybe the most important thing I'll say today. If you feel constantly overwhelmed or distracted or just scattered, you have to understand it is not your fault. You're not failing. This whole system is designed to make you feel that way. We're in what's called an attention economy, and it literally profits from our digital gluttony. Your focus, your precious attention, is just a resource to be mined.
So let's just call it what it is, right? The problem we're all facing here, it's basically a form of algorithmic enslavement. I know that sounds heavy, but think about it. It's like this invisible prison where we're just constantly reacting passively to whatever our screens throw at us. Our thoughts, our emotions, they're being gently, or not so gently, nudged by these feeds.
But here's the good news. There is a way out. There's a powerful countermove, and that's what we're calling the ascetic's sovereignty. It's a kind of modern-day discipline, right? A conscious game plan to break free from that constant digital pull and, take back our own minds. So what is digital asceticism, really? Let's break it down. It's simply the disciplined, voluntary choice to hold back a little on how we use tech. Again, the goal here isn't to go live in a cave. Not at all. It's about achieving mastery. It's about reclaiming ownership of your own attention, your own inner life. And this slide, I think, just lays it out perfectly. It shows the huge mindset shift we're talking about. Over on the left, you've got passive reactivity. That's where the algorithm is your boss, it dictates your focus, and your phone basically uses you. But then, look at the right, active intentionality. This is where you choose your focus. You use your devices as tools. You are the one in charge. That's the whole game right there. Okay, now we're getting to what might be the single most important concept in this whole explainer. It's a really simple idea, but it's profound. It's the core philosophy of digital mastery, and it all comes down to this: using tools versus being trapped in environments. And that brings us to this question. I want you to burn this into your brain. Every single time you unlock your phone or click on an app, ask yourself this: is this a tool or is this an environment? Seriously, just asking that one question can change everything. And this comparison makes it crystal clear, doesn't it? A tool, think of a hammer or a search engine, you use it with a specific goal, right? You get your answer and then you put it down. It waits for you. An environment, though, that's totally different. Think of a social media feed. It surrounds you. It shapes you. It acts on you while you just scroll passively. It doesn't wait for you. It sucks you in. The whole strategy here is to figure out how to turn those addictive environments back into boring old tools. Okay, so that's the big idea, the core philosophy. But philosophy is great and all, but how do we actually do this stuff? Right. Now we get to the fun part, the practical nuts and bolts strategies for actually architecting your attention and taking your focus back.
So the very first principle is kind of genius because it's so counterintuitive. You know how tech companies spend billions of dollars to make their apps frictionless and seamless? Well, our first move is to do the exact opposite. We're going to add friction back in on purpose. We want to create a little speed bump, a tiny pause between the impulse, I want to check Instagram, and the action. Because in that little pause, that's where your freedom lives. That's where you get to make a conscious choice.
And here are 3 super simple but crazy effective ways to build that friction. First, grayscale mode. Turn your phone screen black and white. It totally kills that shiny, colorful slot machine dopamine hit. Second, log out. Manually log out of your most addictive apps every time you use them. That extra step of typing in your password, it's just enough of a pause for your brain to ask, wait, do I really need to do this right now? And third, my favorite, the out of sight rule. If you need to focus, put your phone in another room. Out of sight, out of mind. Proximity is absolutely the enemy of focus.
Okay, this number right here, 60, this could be a total game changer for you. We're talking about the first 60 minutes of your day. The goal is to have an analog morning. Because think about it. When you grab your phone the second you wake up, you're immediately hijacking your brain and throwing it into a state of reactive stress. Emails, news, notifications. It's chaos. By protecting that first hour, you're protecting your most creative, calm, and valuable brain state.
All right, next up, you gotta build some fences. You need to create sacred spaces and times where the digital world simply isn't invited. This is huge. For example, a device-free dinner table. Let meals be about actual human connection. A screen-free bedroom. This is non-negotiable for protecting your sleep and your sanity. And maybe the most powerful one of all, a digital Sabbath. One full day a week, completely offline, just to remind yourself that yes, a rich, full life absolutely exists away from the screen.
This next one is all about becoming a ruthless curator of what you let into your brain. Think of it as a digital diet. First, notifications. Just turn them all off. Everything except for maybe calls and texts from actual human beings. Second, your feed. Be merciless. If an account makes you feel envy or anger or less than, just unfollow. It's that simple. And finally, subscriptions. All those newsletters piling up. If you haven't read one in a month, just be honest with yourself and hit unsubscribe. You've got to remember this. Reduction isn't deprivation, it's liberation.
So all these little tactics, all these strategies, they're all building towards something. There's a huge payoff at the end of all this. We've talked a lot about the how, but now let's really zoom in on the why. What is all this discipline really protecting? It's about carving out space for something our world has basically erased: genuine silence.
And this quote, this is such a powerful countercultural idea. We have been trained our entire lives to see boredom as a problem, right? As an empty space that we have to immediately fill with a podcast or a video or a scroll. But what if boredom isn't a bug, but a feature? What if it's the only time your brain actually gets to breathe, to process everything, to connect weird ideas, and to come up with something new? It's not a void, it's fertile soil.
And that really brings us right to the heart of it, the ultimate payoff. I want you to stop thinking about this as what you're giving up. It's about what you're protecting. You are actively defending your ability to focus deeply on something that matters. You're fighting for less anxiety, you're creating the space for your own original thoughts to surface, and ultimately, you're declaring your independence from all that algorithmic manipulation.
So I just want to leave you with this one final thought, a question to chew on. What actually happens when you finally clear away all the constant noise? What amazing ideas are just waiting in the quiet for you to discover them? And maybe most importantly, what kind of person do you become when you finally have the silence and the depth to hear your own thoughts?